Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Leanna Senior Transition Support, specialists in downsizing and seniors residences.
And good afternoon. Welcome to Life Unrehearsed. My name is Matt Del Vecchio, specializing in life transitions, downsizing in the senior living industry.
And my name is Corey Sirota. I'm a clinical social worker and psychotherapist specializing in grief and loss.
Coming right up on the first half of today's show, it's World Ovarian Cancer Day today, and we're going to be talking to Joanne Photiades, an ovarian cancer survivor and a wealth of information on this subject that affects many women. We'll hear Joanne's amazing story, and we'll be talking prevention tips, awareness, and what you need to know. Corey, I'm a day early, but let me be the first to wish you a very, very happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that, Matt. It's really kind of you to say so.
So many.
You have plans? What are you doing? What are you doing with Stephanie?
Well, she. I think we're going to. Can't say it. Don't listen. But treating her to lobster tomorrow. So that's
fun.
Her favorite.
It is lobster season, I believe. Yeah,
that's right. And we, I want to take this opportunity, of course, for my mom, one of the most loyal CJAT listeners, at least to our show, right, Corey? Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and to all the moms out there, stepmoms, grandmas, all of you. We want to wish you the very best day, not just tomorrow, but every day.
Absolutely. And of course, if you said your mom is number one, my mom is in serious competition with your mom about being right. Being our greatest fans, and also our greatest, not just on the show, but just in general in life. So happy Mother's Day, Mom. And to all those heavenly moms, grandmas, and anyone who you define as mom, we're thinking of you today, tomorrow, and every day.
Absolutely. And Corey, what do we have coming up on the second half?
Well, speaking of moms, we're going to meet a mom who organizes her own superhero fundraiser in loving memory of her husband and her children's father. That's an amazing story that's coming up after the 3:30 news.
All right. Okay, well, Joanne Photiades is an ovarian cancer survivor and proud mother of twin boys who will be turning 5 years old, in fact, this August. She's also the co-chair of the MUHC Foundation's Dream Big, Stop the Silent Killer campaign. Joanne is part of a team working hard to raise $2 million to bring early diagnosis to people with endometrial and ovarian cancers. Joanne, welcome to Life Unrehearsed.
Thank you for having me back.
Well, full disclosure, I was on the phone about 20 minutes ago with Joanne. So first of all, happy Mother's Day, Joanne.
Thank you so much.
And there were two screaming, almost 5-year-old twins in the background. She's like, Matt, I got to get these kids quiet. So it sounds like you did a pretty good job there, Joanne.
Yes, thank goodness my husband came home.
All right. Now, let's go back to a very obviously serious challenge that you had in your life when your life was permanently changed, I guess, a little over 5 years ago. When were the first red flags that you may have had ovarian cancer?
Well, it was at this exact time, 6 years ago. I started having some really sharp abdominal pains and really, really painful, like I've never had before. And they came and they went, so I kind of dismissed it. And I was really, really tired. But, tired, like that happens. You're stressed at work, so many things going on in life. You kind of dismiss it. And then I realized it was playoff season. And so, we're superstitious. For halves, we would have the same meal every game to make sure they'd win, right? And every time we would have that meal, it was like I could never finish it. And then I'd eat like half and a quarter, and literally I'd have a couple bites, and I was just so full. And it was right after Easter too, and I had given up coffee that season, and I realized when I started drinking coffee again, it coincided with I had to go to the bathroom. I had to urinate really frequently. And so I thought, well, my body's not used to the caffeine. So all of these symptoms, they're all minor, like bloating, the pain, the getting full fast, stuff you could dismiss easily, you don't think twice of. But when you bring them all together and you Google them, it brings you to ovarian cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So here you are, you Googled, you decided that you're going to check it out. So and then a diagnosis is made. What happened in terms of the treatments that ensued?
Well, first, I had to advocate for myself because I'm not considered high risk category. There was no history in my family of cancer. I was young. I was 38 when I was diagnosed. Typically, it happens to them in post-menopause. So it wasn't the typical case, although there's a lot of younger women today being diagnosed. So there weren't that many red flags. So I actually had to see 3 doctors, which is very typical. For women with ovarian cancer until I got the diagnosis.
And while all this is going on, you hadn't had children. We're going back 6 years ago, and so I can't imagine what you were thinking. I guess you were saying, "Oh my goodness, am I going to even be able to have children?"
Well, that was definitely the biggest concern, and it definitely threatened my fertility and certainly my life. So there was a lot of concern. And honestly, I think the thought of getting through this and having kids is what got me through it, because we were trying to get pregnant when we found it. So I was just absolutely devastated at the thought that I couldn't have children.
You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. I'm Corey Sirota with my co-host Matt Delvecchio, and in recognition of World Ovarian Cancer Day, we are on the line with ovarian cancer survivor Joanne Photiades. Joanne, I understand that on top of everything else that we're talking about, you were also in the process of getting married?
We were. We got the diagnosis 2 months before our wedding, actually, which was a complete surprise. And it was growing very quickly. So from me Googling the symptoms and getting an ultrasound, having the ultrasound, they said there was a growth that was 10 by 12 centimeters on my left ovary. And seeing 3 doctors and being on the first surgery table was a month later. So it grew from 10 by 12 to 18 by 20 centimeters in a month. So I had a few surgeries. And actually on our wedding day, which was Labor Day weekend, I wasn't feeling well that morning. And so we had to go to the hospital. And as we're leaving the hospital, the doctor called me and she's like, "I just got the results in from your last surgery, pathology reports in." And I'm like, "Oh, it's our wedding day. Like, I can't handle more bad news." She's like, "You're cancer free."
Wow.
Amazing. So let's, for time wise again, we're talking 6 years ago. This is what, August, September, if I understand. You ended up getting married, right? In what month was that now?
It was September 5th, 2015.
September, okay. And now let's talk about the children and the pregnancy.
Well, the thing is, it was a very rare cancer, and there wasn't much data to predict what could happen. The good news is I did get it in phase 1, which is really important, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it was contained, so they were able to remove it all. And the only thing they did know was, given how fast it was growing and how aggressive it was that it was going to come back. And usually that type of cancer will come back within 18-month period. So what they recommended was chemo and full hysterectomy. And of course, I didn't want to hear about that. I was like, I'm having kids. So I gambled, and they said, you need to get pregnant and give birth within 18 months because we need to do that hysterectomy because it's a race against the clock.
Wow.
So long story short, we found out we were pregnant on Christmas Eve. And the boys were born August 10th, 2016.
So beautiful. What a gift, and the gift that keeps on giving, of course, as we know as parents. So there we are. You said the statistics are it can come back within 18 months. 5 years later, August 2020, last summer, my understanding, something didn't look right in one of your scans. What happened next?
Well, with the pandemic hitting, I had to postpone my scans. I usually have them every 3 months. And I was thinking, okay, I'm 4.5 years out right now. Like, I don't want to be in a hospital. Like, because my first scan was due March 20th. So if we bring ourselves back to last March, we didn't want to leave the house. Everybody's just kind of scared. So I decided I was going to delay my scan, which probably wasn't too smart. But I delayed it. And then when I actually did the scan in August, they saw something that they weren't sure what it was. But they knew that the second wave was about to hit, and they wanted me to have it removed ASAP. So I had surgery right away, and they removed growth, and everything was good. It was benign. So it was a scare, but I was in excellent hands and taken care of. So I'm officially 5 years cancer-free now.
That is amazing. 5 years cancer-free. And so when you had this little scare, this was less than a year ago, I would imagine, how do you have to go for continued scans, and how often do you have to do that, Joanne?
I still do them pretty much every 4 months now.
Mm-hmm. So that's got to continue, I guess, for a while. Did the doctors give you any indication? Okay, is that going to get expanded to yearly or every few years, or for now, for what it is, it's every 4 months, and you take it like that?
Yeah. Just because of the scare, they put me I was at 6 months, and then because of the scare, I think they advanced it again, but I'm pretty confident that I'll go back to 6 or hopefully 12 months, much as I love my doctors.
Right.
You're listening to Life Unrehearsed, and that's Joanne Photiades on World Ovarian Cancer Day, and she's telling us her incredible story. And Joanne, you have indeed lived a life unrehearsed, and you are also a wealth of knowledge and a real advocate for many women. And we have to head out to traffic, Joanne, but when we come back, we want to know why ovarian cancer is called the silent killer and what women should know in terms of symptoms and signs to watch for. But first, we're going to head to the CJD Traffic Center for a traffic update.
Life Unrehearsed, brought to you by Flora Lee Senior Residences. Always there for you. Safe, reassuring, and comforting. We call it home.
So in all seriousness, we have heard that ovarian cancer is called the silent killer. So please help us understand, what should women know in terms of symptoms and signs to watch for? So
the 4 signs to watch for, if you could remember the acronym TEAL. Now, TEAL is the color for ovarian cancer. But if you take the 4 letters individually, they are the 4 symptoms that are considered the silent killer. So T is for toilet habit changes, so the urgency to urinate. E is for energy levels dropping, being really tired. The A is for abdominal pain and or swelling and bloating, and the L is for loss of appetite and or weight. So if you have any of those symptoms combined, even if it's just 2 of them for 3 or more weeks, I urge you, go see your doctor, because it makes such a difference. Right now, the 5-year prognosis for ovarian cancer, if you're caught in phase 3 or 4, is 10 to 30%, and that is when 80% of the ovarian cancers are diagnosed. So that's why as soon as you have these symptoms, you need to go see the doctor, because that's why it's known as the silent killer. And if you're diagnosed in phase 1 or 2, the prognosis 5 years is 80%. So huge difference.
Sure.
And as you were saying earlier on, Joanne, you were young, at around 38 when this happened, and it can't be me. And this is just, and I love this TEAL acronym, and I think you took it to the next level, and good on you for doing that. And I guess one of the questions that I would have, Joanne, is how prevalent this is for in endometrial and ovarian cancer. You mentioned that you had it at a younger age. Usually it happens at a later age. How many people does this affect?
Well, there's 3,000 Canadian women who are diagnosed every year. And there are 5 Canadian women who die from it every year. And the outcomes haven't changed in 50 years.
So actually, I wanted to ask you that. What can be done to actually improve the outcomes for women who have endometrial or ovarian cancer?
Well, awareness is definitely big. Be aware and know the symptoms, listen to your body, act quickly. And if I could just go back for a second and talk about funding, if we look at the difference of funding that breast cancer has received from 2005 to 2015 compared to ovarian cancer, if we look at that 10-year period, breast cancer research received $250 million, whereas ovarian cancer received $40 million. And we look now in 2001, the difference, and 5-year prognosis for breast cancer is 90%, which is fantastic. But ovarian cancer is not even 40%.
Yeah, it's still...
So we see how important it is to raise money for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to talk about raising some money. You're listening to Life Unrehearsed. Matt Del Vecchio here with Corey Sirota. And it is World Ovarian Cancer Day, May 8th. And we're on the line with the ovarian cancer survivor, Joanne Photiades, telling her story and also providing us with a ton of information. You talk about fundraisers and events. Joanne, you are so involved in many, many things. You've got a big event coming up on May 12th, don't you?
We do. We have the Lyceum of Greek Women of Montreal are having a virtual event in honor of myself and my fellow Teal sister, Melina. So it's May 12th at 7 p.m., so feel free to send me a message and I'll get you a Zoom link. And the Minister of Health, Patty Hadji, will be there as well.
Oh, nice.
What's happening? What's this event?
It's a virtual event, and Dr. Gilbert, who we'll talk about in a second, who's heading up the Devi project, is going to be presenting her findings and the importance of early detection.
Dr. Gilbert, we've had her on the show before. Such an incredible doctor, and I know Joanne, obviously, she was the one involved with you as well. And, Dr. Gilbert is involved with the MUHC Foundation, and you're co-chairing the Dream Big, Stop the Silent Killer campaign. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I believe your target is to raise $2 million, and I think you're almost there.
We're almost there. We're so close. So Dr. Gilbert, who was my doctor, he has created the world's first early detection test, and it's a genomic test, and it's kind of like an advanced pap test. So women are going to have it when they go for their physicals every couple of years, right? Or if they're having any of these symptoms, they could have this test. So it's kind of going to be like when cervical cancer was the before the pap test, cervical cancer was a second leading cause for women, and now it's pushed down to the 16th place. So with this new test, with this early detection test, you're going to be able to catch it early. So as I was talking about before, the outcomes are going to increase to like 80% if you catch it in phase 1 or phase 2. So this is the first test in the world that's going to be an early diagnosis test. And we need to raise the $2 million to bring it to clinical trial.
I'm so happy that you mentioned that, because one of the things I didn't ask is how do we test for it? And so you're telling it's similar to a pap test, and it's good to know. And it's encouraging also to hear that, being the mom of 2 daughters, that these are tests that are going to become hopefully more normative. Let me ask you one thing. I'm going to go back to the personal piece. From your perspective, what did you find most helpful from others, family and friends, when you were diagnosed? How can we help people when we hear that they're diagnosed?
Well, I think everybody's story and everybody's needs are different. So for me, just knowing people were there, it's not necessarily, there is no right thing to say, but just, I'm here for you. Like, knowing you have that support was really important to me.
Just knowing that someone's there for you, and it's so important. Joanne, we need to wrap it up. We want to thank you so much for sharing your story and spreading so much knowledge about this. And so this MUHC Foundation's Dream Big, Stop the Silent Killer campaign, you're almost at $2 million. How can people get you over that $2 million mark?
Well, if you go to my Instagram page, in my bio, there is the fundraising page linked to my page, and you could go to the Devi website on the MUHC. It all goes together towards the $2 million. Or we'd be so happy if you joined us on Wednesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. Let me know, and I'll send you a Zoom link so you could join us for the event.
All right, Joanne. Thanks so much for coming on the show with us.
Thank you so much.
All right. That's ovarian cancer survivor and inspiration to many, many people, Joanne Photiades.